Hi everyone, it's Kaitlyn Vann, and for my Chapter 8 reading log, I chose the book Cricket in the Thicket. The author is Carol Murray, the illustrator is Melissa Sweet, and the publisher is Henry Holt & Company. It was copyrighted in 2017, and the genre is poetry. It's 40 pages long, and it said that it's appropriate for ages 6 through 10 years old. This book is really cute. I know I say that about a lot of books, but this book is just informative as well as creative. The illustrations in it are beautiful. As I'll show you an example of like my favorite poem that I had. Whenever I did a poem like on a certain bug, there were 27 throughout the book, but whenever it did a certain poem about that bug, it would also put fun facts at the very end of it, which I thought was really, really cool. The example that I used on my reading log, like actual assignment that I'm turning in, was that roly-polies. It went on to write a cute little story about roly-polies, about how like they'll roll up in a ball for security, but if you nudge them, they'll like open back up and move. But at the very bottom of the page, it put out the fun facts that they're also called pill bugs, that they have 7 pairs of legs, and that they're in the same crustacean family as shrimp and crayfish. So I thought that was really cool. I never would have known that otherwise, that they were considered in that family as well. My favorite page from the book would have been, it talked about the milkweed worm, or let's see here, the caterpillar that loves the milkweed plant. And then it goes on to talk about how it turns into the monarch butterfly. And there's a cute little poem about the monarch butterfly, and then about how they migrate down here in the little fun facts. Like I said, the illustrations are beautiful because you can see that butterfly is really pretty. Also, so whenever it goes on, that was kind of like the closest thing as like characters came, in my opinion, is that when it talked about that caterpillar, it would then go on to talk about that butterfly and how they had those interactions together. So I thought that that was kind of the closest thing to characteristics. Other than that, there wasn't really like a plot or a setting or well, the theme would have been poetry on there. But there really wasn't much of the plot or the setting, just because it was like an informative book and every page was individually towards that bug on there. Then I went on to like how I would connect to the book. I put that like we have a farm and we're constantly looking up like what bugs are and like fun facts about them and stuff like that. Just because we have a garden, we have animals, all these bugs interact and coexist with our farm. So that's kind of like my connection. I also have like a really good like love for poetry. I think it's fun and creative, and we had a lot of fun reading it to my 9-year-old stepdaughter yesterday. We actually really enjoyed like the fun facts at the end of the poems too, and she even really liked reading the poems. Poetry, how this would help students. Poetry, it just helps students and children cognitively build their vocabulary, their reading skills, and make them more aware of like their words and like what rhymes and just overall the words. Poetry also gives like an outlet for thoughts and emotions, which I think is very important, that not only for children, but if we can teach our children this, then they can carry that into their adulthood with them as well. And I thought that maybe like the age range of 6 to 10 years old was not like necessarily the age range that it had to be in. I feel like a little bit older, and I mean I'm 26 years old, like I really enjoyed reading all of this stuff. So I feel like it wasn't necessarily to 6 to 10 year olds for the book. Then when it goes on to like strategy and activity, I put that I want my students to pick one of these 27 bugs from the book, and then look up additional facts, like things that aren't necessarily in the book, but look up these additional facts. And once they create a web organizer of this individual bug and have like 6 more additional facts about this bug, I want them to go in and I want them to create like a short poem or like rhyming poem or a short acrostic poem about the bug. I use the example and put an example of like an ant on there, and that's just kind of what I would want them to do for the activity. That way they're getting brainstorming with the graphic organizer, but they're also being creative and using their vocabulary and everything for the poem. So I thought that that would be a beneficial way to do the activity. And that is my reading log for chapter 8.